12. They were in that little spot, man, but held it down. Big ups to Jukebox, man. They're really
my people in Arizona.
Yeah, doing some good stuff. But I just remember kind of just telling you my story, and I think more than anything, that's what is great about this community is that, you know, it doesn't matter like if you're a legend, like living legend, like have all this experience, like we get to share each other's stories all over the world, and just thank you, man, for supporting us. Thank you for what you've given to this, to music, to dance, to history, American history, to be honest. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, both of y'all.
To start off.
Yeah, and as you all know with Step by Step, we always talk about, like, we talk about dance all the time, but we really talk about culture and community, and dance is just one aspect of that. You kind of already started it, so our question of the day is, what was your first encounter with Mr. Wiggles? Whether it was in person or you saw him on the internet, we'd like to know. Maybe you bought one of his VHSs.
Yeah.
I'll get started with mine. So one thing I think is interesting about you is, I think when people talk about you, they all say like streets this, streets that, or they go back to the Beat Street era. But I'd like to think of you as the first internet dance star. Because I remember when Napster came out, and they shut down Napster, they came out with Kazaa. You remember Kazaa?
Kazaa, yeah.
And they had videos in Kazaa. So I downloaded a music video, and then it was like, I would type in dance.
Yeah.
And then it'd just be like Mr. Wiggles and Fable doing a puppet. And then I was like, oh, those guys are tight. And I would look up Mr. Wiggles and Mr. Wiggles here,
Right,
Mr. Wiggles there.
Yep.
Mr. Wiggles destroys a guy, and that's the one where like, tell me if you know what I'm talking about, like, bring it on, wigs, and the machine gun, and like, whoa. So it was one of those rare things where I typed in dance, a random person's name came up, and then it was like, I want to learn more about just this guy. I started researching, and eventually, like, I didn't even go on Google. We went on Yahoo back then, looked up Mr. Wiggles, saw Mr. Wiggles.biz.
Yeah.
And man, I was telling Jay Boogie last week how we had a class in school where they let you do homework so you're not bombarded at home. You get a head start. I would go on the computer and go on Mr. Wiggles.biz and just like look at like the top 10 best tutters, top 10 best rockers.
Oh, wow.
And I remember because Eddie Styles made the list one time. I was like, I know him. And it was like, it was just like a forum, but it was like if you're on a top 10 list on Mr. Wiggles.biz, you made it. You're like...
just to kind of go off that, what was kind of like, you were at the forefront of, you know, now we have so much social media, but what was like your idea at that time, and what was your research like?
Well, it was funny, I'm new to that. I listened to like the nerds and shit. I didn't know nothing about the computer. And I didn't know about that clip. Someone from France uploaded that. And there was a puppet routine that we did in France.
Yeah.
Okay. And that one got famous or whatever. It was really cool, you know. I saw my video there. I was excited like you were.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to get somebody to build my website.
Right.
And I'm not the type of person to wait for nobody. I'm like, you know, I do this shit myself.
Yeah.
And I'm breaking out instructional manuals. And I remember, I'm from the hood, man. We don't read no manuals. You know? We don't read manuals, you know. We just dig in and I dove in and I built my first site. And, you know, I made sure it had graffiti in it and it had stories. I put hip hop stories. I wanted people to, you know, I'm a storyteller, man. You know, and New Yorkers, you know, we talk with our hands or we tell stories, and I wanted that to be on the website. So that was why I was just telling stories.
What I also dug about that is now when people upload videos, it's typically like them always in the same dance studio room or always in their room at home. But when I would look up each Mr. Wiggles clip, it was like, there was one with you with long hair, and it was early 90s, and then there was another one of you in some rave type club with all a totally different demographic, and it was sort of like a mystery, like, who's this Wiggles guy? He's everywhere. And like, and I'm not thinking like, okay, this is over time. It's just you're popping up everywhere on my downloads. I'm looking it up. The other thing is my personal encounter is I just started training. I grew up in San Diego with Junior Boogaloo, and that's when Motion Sickness was really repping hard. Legend and Tempo, they just came off Star Search. I was super excited, like 14-year-old kid rolling with Legend and Tempo with the car. And then we're driving, they're like, you gotta go in the cypher this many times, and telling me everything, like, if you're rolling with us, you can't just stand on the sideline. So I'm like, boom, cool. So I remember I go in my cypher, and somebody pulls me back, and he's telling me like, oh, hey man, these guys are battling. You can never go in during a battle.
Okay.
I didn't know. I was just so hungry to like go, and I was sort of like, oh my god, I did the worst thing ever. And he was like, no. If you didn't know, it's all good. Just don't do that.
Just don't do it.
And I went like, okay, cool. And that was actually you.
Oh, I said that.
That was you. You were like, hey man, like they're battling, go at it. And I just thought it was dope, and it's a theme we talk about all the time of how checking someone back then, it was like, thank you for giving me information I didn't know. And now it's so difficult to do that. Like
you can't check nobody in it.
Yeah, they take it the wrong way. They really take it the wrong way.
They got crime space, they got computer here, they got tissue right here, they got their pillow right here, and you try to tell somebody in caps, you know, we type in caps and shit, hip hop, and they look at the caps and they go like this. Why is he yelling at me?
Yeah.
You know, you can't really, you can't tell nobody nothing no more.
Yeah.
They're gonna cry at you and shit, and they're gonna hit you up 3 times in private.
Yeah.
You know, it's corny.
Tell us just a little bit then about maybe one of your first experiences that you had. Like he had that experience. What was kind of your first experience in the Bronx? Like somebody pulled you back or somebody taught you that lesson.
Showed you the ropes, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you're bouncing off people like the ropes when you're in a circle in the Bronx. It's like you're in a boxing ring. And to be honest, man, it wasn't so cool, you know. Yeah. You knew not to step on nobody's shoe right off the bat, or you're shining them right in the circle. You knew not to go on the cypher when somebody reputable was in there, because they're gonna pull you by your hoodie. I mean, it got to a point where cypher etiquette was really based on outlaw, you know, gang, you know, respect, street respect. So you knew everything was a little touchy back then. And then how I knew I was in a real circle was when I got pushed in. I didn't want to go in. I got pushed in aggressively.
That's crazy.
Like, go ahead, Puerto Rico, and then they pushed me in.
Yeah.
You know.
Why didn't you want to go in at the time? Was it just
bricks? Everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you had top dancers. You know, this is early '80s. No, this one was
late 70s.
This was when I was a boogie boy.
Yeah.
No. 70s was a different one.
Oh, okay.
That one was another one, man, where my cousin was the one pressuring me to battle this kid in late 70s. That was on the B-boy tip.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he was trying to tell me how to burn the kid. So, again, you know, he's a gangster and he's trying to tell me what to do to the kid. I just wanted to make people happy. I was like, I don't want my cousins to be ashamed of me. So in that battle, I got ashamed. You know, the kid destroyed me in that battle. And I wouldn't come out for weeks. Back then, if you lost a battle, that was pretty shameful. You know, like, man, you represent the Bronx, and you represent the block, and you lost, Stevie. What happened? And then the other one, that was a boogie battle, and I got shoved in, and I went the fuck off, and I took off on people, man. When I got that push, and I see I'm in the middle, it kicked in, and I said, I'm not losing no more, and I took off on people. I blew up overnight. The little Puerto Rican kids that could boogie.
Dang, that was doing one hell of a round.
Yeah. So what was your block then? Where did you grow up in the Bronx?
I grew up everywhere from Longwood, Fox, that's the main street, the cross streets is Longwood and Fox, 156. Forest Projects, McKinley Projects, that's Grandmaster Flash, and that's Fat Joe, and then you got Throsnick with Big Pun, and then you got Bronx River with Zulus, and I mean that whole area. Hunts Point, Southern Boulevard, if y'all out there, y'all know.
Yeah. So Sedgwick and Cedar, what? That's kind of where Cool Herc.
That's another part of the Bronx.
That's another part of the Bronx.
From there.
Okay.
The Bronx I'm from is the one that you see in the movies.
Yeah. Okay.
The messed up part.
Yeah.
I'm from that part. Not everybody's from that part of the Bronx. Don't let them fool you. They say I'm from the Bronx, but they're not from the South Bronx. Recognize
South Bronx.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you, we were talking in the car just about like different foundations and stuff, how like, you know, choreo heads, what, you know, you're trying to do and helping them find their foundation just as these things. What were some of the foundational moves that you saw out of the Bronx originally when you were getting into these circles and stuff? What were...
Well, on the hip hop tip, top rock, footwork, and a freeze. And that was it. It was very simple in my generation.
Yeah.
And that was the format, and then you had the burn. The burn was the diss move or the crowd pleaser. It could have been a lot of things. The burn was kind of like the icing on the cake. And in Boogie, really we didn't know what we were doing. We were basically party dancers that were trying to put popping in the mix. So we're doing the freak and the smurf and then we're doing the rope, and then we're doing, you know, a strutting style move, and then we're trying to keep the whole b-boy flavor. There was no rule yet.
Yeah,
you know?
Almost about showmanship or charisma, right?
Well, like when I see Loose Joint, or when I see Loose Joint in particular, he reminds me of what I first saw when I started doing Boogie.
Huh.
Yeah, it looked very b-boyish, very New York. It didn't look like Fresno at all, you know.
Yeah. So you had a lot of the Puerto Ricans that were rocking, and you had the blacks that were b-boying.
Yeah.
And so was there a clash?
Always, but we didn't have like a animosity. We didn't, you know, our relationship in Black and Latinos in the Bronx didn't have that kind of relationship.
Right.
Very tight. And the Latino community was predominantly rockers and disco heads, Southside, and Spanish hustle. And yeah, we had a lot of battles against each other, but we also had a lot of black people down with our scene, and a lot of Puerto Ricans down with the b-boy, b-girl scene. You know, we didn't have the issues that you had in the West Coast or in other places. You know, mostly because Puerto Ricans have a lot of black blood and a lot of black mixed into our culture. We're Afro Latinos. You know, we dance to African rhythms, and we grew up to African food, and we played congas our whole life. And, you know, all the elements of the culture of Puerto Rican is Afro Latino, Taino, and the Spanish culture mixed.
Yeah. I want to pick up on that because you said this in an interview before, but for the people who haven't heard you speak on it, in regards to, you know, hip hop, we have our own foundation, all that, but you also talked about bringing in deeper roots of your own culture, everyone's individual culture. Can you tell us, like, what are your thoughts on that, on chiming into your almost ancestral background?
Well, in the Bronx, we were celebrating Afro, Latino, Taino culture. On both sides, we're celebrating our culture. We didn't know we were doing anything special until they brought in the cameras. We just did what we did naturally at our home. We threw parties every weekend. People got down, and our generation just had our own little dance and our own little scene that we would incorporate into our home parties and the block parties and then the street jams that were either, I don't want to say disco, but I want to say R&B, Latin soul oriented, or breakbeat oriented. There were two kinds of jams going. And so we were already cultural, you know. Dancing in the middle of the street for no reason was normal. If you hear a song you like, we're going to get down. And that's the way both communities roll. And we teach, you know, you learn the foundation, learn what we brought to the table first. First thing you do is you learn what we did. Master that. And of course, bring in what made you proud about your people and your culture. And we learned that from Zulu. And, you know, I'm a intelligent enough man to know how to separate a man's evil from his good. And Africa Bambaataa taught a lot of good shit. You know, what he's going to go to hell for, that's something else. But, you know, I have a right as an intelligent man to speak on what he did good. And he taught us that. He taught us, you know, make sure you repping your culture. Make sure all these people know who they are. And that was part of the movement that we implemented in the, I say like the early 80s. Is that everyone that gets involved should know who they are. And be proud of it. You know, understand the good and the bad of your culture, but represent your people, man, and put it on top. Put it on top.
People expecting rap records. There were no rap records. None exist. Rap did not exist. This is what we were paying. We were carrying our own boxes. This is what we were playing. The jam that happened last week, that Puerto Rican tape master recorded on the tape. Sold it at the flea market. No rap records. You see how they said hip hop, the hip hop? The culture wasn't called hip hop yet. Hip hop was what we said on the mic. They didn't call it hip hop until Africa Bambaataa in '81 when they asked him, what do you call this culture? He couldn't say rock because rock was taken. He didn't say going off, he said hip hop. I don't know why. He chose the words hip hop, and this is why. Because